Real-life experiences with AI in literature research. My name is Matthias Behrens. I'm running, among other things, a medical publication accelerator. And I would like to give you my first-hand review and experience with AI in this field. And that applies to medical publication in general, because literature research is always a part of it when thinking about state-of-the-art research, or you're doing a systematic review. So you have a very high importance to the reliability of what your literature research produces. And it's observable that there are a couple of products out there which are now being advertised. And if you go on YouTube, you will encounter a lot of videos that are hyping the potential of AI. And I call it a hype because it's really not living up to it. The reality is different. And that coming from somebody who is intensively working in that field since many years. Of course, I would love to love it. Just that you know my mindset. I'm totally not like in a defensive position there. I would love that AI makes certain steps of the process faster, easier, and yeah, so that I can do more high-level thinking. But so far, we're not there. So now let's dive right into these questions. I think there are two main questions. Can AI tools produce complex results, take over larger parts of publication work? Not really. But can AI tools be useful in publication work? Yes, in some cases. So just because I say there are strong limitations doesn't mean that there are not scenarios which do make sense. You just have to be very clear for what it makes sense and for what it doesn't. Now, the general limitations, and I keep this very simple because I want this to be practical. You can never absolutely trust it, and that is an issue. And when I say absolutely, can you absolutely trust me? I also make mistakes, which I then or my team make mistakes too. So if we say, hey, it's not 100% reliable, what are you comparing it with? But given the high standards that when you're doing a SOTA research or a systematic review to be pretty close to 100%. So if we say that AI generated results are maybe 80 or 95%, depending on the task complexity, then you are just not good enough with that. So to always check if you need to be right. And here, if you're writing your blog article, then you just hop into Perplexity, and you're probably good if you then manually check your 2 to 3 sources that are being found, and you'll be quickly done and you're good to go. But for anything that has to be right, you have to check it. And you can also lose a lot of energy with generating content. And here I want to warn you, you generate content with the AI tool and you then spend more time checking that than it would have taken you to write it in the first place. And here I really would like to warn you. So if it's more complex, don't even start trying. And we have tried with the best available commercial LLMs which are currently on the market. For example, Anthropic, Claude 3.5, Sonnet, the latest version right now in November. Also OpenAI 4.0 with the different settings. And so I'm talking about these very good models, right? The best which are on the market right now. Now, so the reasoning, that is not even there, right? So if you give it simple tasks, then you can maybe be at this 80, 95, depending on task complexity. But if you give it more complex reasoning, and here I'm referring to literature analysis, what is this really about? And that high level thinking of, okay, now I have here 3 articles, and now what is the condensed message there? How do I summarize this aspect? How do I do the synthesis? there you can just forget about it. That you have to do. Maybe on the one hand, that's great news. If you are a research professional, a medical research consultant, then you will not be out of a job tomorrow. But on the other hand, it's also a little bit disappointing. It would have been very nice if you could have sped up things, because there's always enough to do. And if you can become more efficient and the cost of these things goes down, wonderful. We can just get more stuff done. But we're not there yet. Now, potential use cases. Maybe it gets really interesting. We have tested and successfully used AI tools in very specific scenarios. For example, abstract evaluation or appraisal. That is something which can quickly go in the hundreds and hundreds of, maybe even thousands sometimes, articles that you have to look at. You can do that. There is still the issue with reliability, etc. So can you on the result? No, you can't. That doesn't change. That's a constant. But can it reduce your mental load? Yes, it can. Because it is a difference if you have to read every abstract with your eyes yourself, or if the AI tool already points you in a direction, and at least you can then faster confirm a very specific eligibility check. You have inclusion exclusion criteria, obviously, and you let the tool pre-check for you. If you are very conscious and you promise yourself that you're not getting lazy, then it can reduce your mental load considerably. But you still have to do the, okay, here it is, yes, it's there. Because these tools simply invent stuff. Or they overlook and they don't see it. And then you say, yeah, but I find this in the abstract. And then the tool goes, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I did not see that. It's very charming how friendly the tool is when it makes a mistake, and it always apologizes. But what does that help you? It is a mistake. So you have to be fully there. You cannot become lazy. That you have to promise yourself. But it can reduce your mental effort. And that is something. That is not nothing. If it's about a few hundred of a larger number of anything, then it's worth it. You have to do a little bit for that. It just doesn't come out of the box. That's the bad news. You have to do a bit of prompt engineering, careful testing. You have to know what you want. But that's also the fun in it, right? That's one example. Then writing assistant. Yes, absolutely, especially when you're not a native speaker or you're not writing scientific publications every day. It really does help. Spelling, grammar, style, fantastic. Why not? And these tools have been around for many years, and now they more and more become AI featured, like they utilize machine learning in the background. Okay, fine. Reasoning, like writing assistants. Sometimes you need things to really be rewritten. And if you know yourself what you want, great, right? But you cannot have the tool write larger passages for you and then just assume it's fine. You have to know what you want. So fact checks of full text with low importance, that's an interesting thing. Because we have introduced already that, okay, it doesn't do the job always right. Now, there are situations where you do not need it to be perfect. You're like, yeah, but does the full text talk about X? And maybe it's really not central for what you're trying to do, but you have this quick question that, and here we have to maybe decide between a question you should rather solve with a search. You just do a full text search in the PDF of the article, and then the situation to say, okay, I have a very specific question which requires reasoning. If it's not really important for you that the reply is really perfect, you can do that. But then on the other hand, you could argue if it's not that important, why are you even doing it? But I think most people who are working in this field, they know that sometimes you have this exploratory thought And yeah, if you just feel you want to ask the paper and you don't really, if you find something good, if you don't, then that's the situation. So this is a little bit a gut feeling thing, I would say. Then, yeah, I've done that quite a few times. Understanding badly written paragraphs. Sometimes, especially in reviews, they have to condense their language, and sometimes information seems to get lost. And if you want to have this second pair of eyes, like, how do they mean this? How should I read that? Especially maybe if you're not a native speaker. I'm not a native speaker in English. I've done that maybe 2, 3 times. Okay, what does that mean? So that can maybe help. But also, then you still have to check the interpretation of the tool. So, when done right, there is potential, there is fun. The reduction of mental load, I would say, is a hard result that I would claim that exists there if you do things right. Now, something that just comes to my mind here is, of course, copyright. You cannot just go ahead and upload people's full text to whatever AI tool, right? You have to be careful there. Use local models, right? Be very careful there because you just can't do that. That's illegal, all right? But now let's get back to this. I divided that in A and B. Why did I do that? Okay, research specific tools. There are a lot of out of the box tools now coming out. 2 examples, right? There are many, but these are 2 I've come across a bit more. And I put in some time and I really tried them. And I wanted to love them, but I couldn't. Elicit, here we don't know which LLM they use. You can't really test advanced features without paying. The results I saw didn't convince me. I wanted to like it and I didn't. Petal is by the team that does GPT Trainer. We're using GPT Trainer in to generate chatbots in a different educational project that I'm managing. Very successful that, but Petal was a disappointment. That was just not up to the task. I did not like it. I was faster. But I was faster putting the text I wanted to be analyzed into an LLM myself, where I could write the prompting the way I wanted, and I already had a feeling how it would react. Didn't really work for me. DeepL, yes, but interestingly, not in academic mode. We're using DeepL Pro in my team, obviously, but interestingly, not in general, not in academic mode. It works best for us. We're all academic writers, so we know how to phrase things more or less. And we put them there and we have people have another look. And that's good. And now these tools, now I know why the A and B. The A was for stuff you can't really configure freely. And B is where you can do your prompting yourself. You have more degrees of freedom. And Perplexity AI is quite fine. You can choose the LLM you want to use. You can switch it sometimes. You can rewrite a result with a different LLM, and that's quite handy. Not really for research. Perplexity is being widely used, and I also use it when I want to do some general research or I need a result that needs to include web results. Okay, Perplexity is great for that, but when it comes to literature work, I'm not using it in that mode. I'm always using it what was before they changed that setting. It was writing mode. That mode has disappeared. Now you just deselect the web sources because you do not want other stuff to come in if you want an analysis of a specific text element. Requires a bit of testing, playing around, and selecting the correct LLM for your purpose. To be very careful with copyright. Of course, there are local solutions. For corporate clients, we're using local solutions because we don't upload a copyrighted full text to any online situation there. But you can produce some results with Perplexity and the models there. For example, Claude, Sonnet 3.5. or 3.5 Sonnet, that's the name of it. That is something that really worked quite well in the last weeks for us. So I hope that helped. Real life experiences with AI in literature research. We can help you write your medical publication faster. We say that it is our speed while you remain in the driver's seat and you remain in control of your publication, and we can assist you in speeding that up. Time is precious, and we know that a lot of doctors and clinicians have very little time and they need publications, so we can assist you there. I want to book a call to analyze your project and give you a few directions and some specific advice how you can be faster with your publication. We gladly do that. You can book that on Patreon. And if you want us to take over of the work for you, we also can do that for you. Great day.